good morning and welcome to the VSA Capital 5-Minute Morning Miner. And it's hump day, middle of the week, Wednesday, the 2nd of April. It's tax week this week. Everyone's talking about tax, Ollie. It's also called Liberation Day in America. Liberation quite from what I'm not sure, but who knows? There you go. Right, let's hit the news, Ollie. By the way, Ollie, you look very smart in your DJ gun last night. You keep seeming to go to these rather posh dinners. What's going on in your life? Getting it all done whilst, I know you're newly married, still children-free, getting all these things done before anything changes, are we, Ollie?
Well, I was lucky that my dinner jacket fit. I haven't had to wear it for about 5 years.
Don't get me going on that. I tell you, my eldest son is getting married in December, and I went to try on my morning suit that I got married in, dare I say it, sort of 30, I should know this off the top of my head, shouldn't I, 34 years ago. And take my word, I do not get close to getting into it. Anyway, sorry, listeners, that's a complete red herring. Right, let's talk. Nice little bit of news out of Cornish Metals today. We always love talking about Cornwall and mining down there. It looks like they've bought the municipal dump next door to them. I may be looking at the map wrongly, but I think that's what they've done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. They've bought 4.5 acres from Cornwall Council, so that takes their sort of site area up to 32 acres, gives them a bit more space to develop. I suppose the vendor being the council shows some support from them. If they weren't in favour, perhaps they wouldn't have let them buy it. It's obviously not a huge bit of news, but I think what is interesting is the tin price is up 22% now, the highest level since May 2022. Obviously, that's off the back of the Alphamin shutdown and what's going on in the DRC, as we've talked about before. But the Cornish Metals share price has barely moved yet. When the tin price was running in that sort of period back in 2021, 2022, there was really good correlation between the Cornish Metals share price and the tin price, but that seems to have broken down recently.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think actually the reason that Cornwall County Council have sold it is they're desperate for cash. My council tax down there on our house has just gone up to £7,000 a year, which is pretty outrageous, frankly. Not that I want to get on a debate here about Cornish council tax. And actually, as a municipal dump, it wasn't that good because it didn't actually take everything, which was really rather annoying, actually. Because I did visit it once when I was visiting Cornish Metals and going down South Crofty. But there are better dumps closer to me. Anyway, we don't want a discussion about dumps either. Look, I totally agree with you. The tin price is obviously going higher. I think it will continue to go higher. Cornish Metals, I mean, the issue obviously is that they're in this, it's the classic Lassonde curve, isn't it? That everybody knows there's still more to be done before, in terms of financing, before it gets into production. But actually, it does look like a really good asset. And I think the end result of it all will be a significantly more valuable business. There you go. Right, next one, Ollie.
We initiated coverage yesterday on Myriad Uranium. We've talked about them quite a bit over the past sort of 18 months. They appointed a new industry advisor yesterday, Edward Smirnov. He used to be the CEO of Uranium One, which was one of the biggest uranium producers in Wyoming. So an expert on the region that they're in, and a great person to bring on for advice and give validation to the company and their assets. Our initiation went out yesterday, so if you want to have a look, it's on the website. But as we've said before, they've managed to put together almost 4,000 hectares of claims in Wyoming, consolidating projects which have had significant exploration spend on historically, and now they're using that data set to prove modern compliant resources. And with their first phase drilling last year, they've done that. So it validates the data set and the combination of that new drilling with geophysics means they've got a great pathfinder for going out to do wider exploration this year across the rest of the claims.
You know, I was talking to a very senior commodities expert yesterday, and they said, you know, the way to make money probably at the moment in mining is to drape yourself with the US flag. And that's exactly what Myriad, of course, is. It's US-based uranium. So actually, if you want to make money, it does look a really good bet. Pulsar helium, I think you wanted to mention.
Yes, sticking to the US, helium in Minnesota. They've announced that their flow testing has just started at the Jetstream project. So it'll take about a month now to get initial results for that, and then there'll be a second extended well test after that following pressure buildup. They drilled that well earlier this year, and we already know there's some pretty good grades there of at least 14.5% helium. They've highlighted in the press release that 0.3% is the typical economic threshold, and that's based on production in Qatar is one of the main hubs of global helium production, and that grades there are typically around sort of 0.3 to 1%. So anything in that range on a resource-wide basis above sort of 0.5% would be considered high grade on a global basis. So some exceptional grades there. They probably drilled quite close to some source rock, so this flow testing will give us a sense of how sustained those high grades can be maintained for, but they'll probably average out to a lower level across the whole resource.
Yeah, look, again, drape yourself in the American flag. And also, of course, it's local. And what you have to remember with helium is it does seep very badly. And so you cannot transport it for weeks and weeks and weeks without seepage. So having local supply is really key. So again, drape yourself with the American flag. Also, shall I just mention Premier African Minerals? We are corporate broker to it, joint corporate broker with Shawcat. They put an announcement out last night at 6 o'clock, which was very good news, and that is that the long stop date isn't quite the right word, but the date for CanMax to come in and cause some problems has been extended out to late summer. This gives Premier African Minerals time to try and resort themselves out a little bit. So the sword of Damocles has been removed, so to speak. I mean, obviously, in recent days, the share price has been flying up like 100% in a day on literally billions and billions of volume. It's a very volatile stock. But if you want to know more about that, just give us a buzz directly at VSA and we can fill you in. And I think that's about it, isn't it, Ollie?
It is from me, yeah.
Okay.
This podcast has been produced and edited by VSA Capital. It is intended for information purposes and not as investment advice. The information is intended for recipients who understand the risks associated with equity investments in smaller companies. Please do your own research and do not rely on a single source when making an investment decision. VSA Capital may derive fees from this content and seeks to do business with the companies mentioned.